Hello to everybody in beautiful Cape Town. I trust everybody is having a good time. Well, first I would like to thank the Accord for helping organize this meeting, for lending their financial support, logistical support, and not to forget their brain power, their intellectual expertise in everything to do with peace building. Also, as you know, this is the first time that the PBSO is organizing such a kind of course, the first ever, bringing together our staff worldwide, our partners, government officials. So this is a wonderful opportunity to really brainstorm and talk about what peace building really is. I think all of us in this business, we have an idea of what humanitarian work is all about. It's about saving lives, basically. We also know about development, how we build up capacities, institutions in government, in development processes. But let's be very honest. Peace building is sometimes a misunderstood concept. Not everybody understands peace building. So let me let you in on the secret. Even I myself sometimes forget what peace building really is, confused with development and all that. So I want to share with you my own way of, distinguishing and distilling what is a peace building activity versus a development activity or any other kind of activity. So I use these acronyms. I'm one person who loves acronyms because it makes me remember. So I use SCHLEP. If you know a little bit of Yiddish or if you know German, you'll know that this word means schlep. And schlep means basically that you're pulling something very tough, something very arduous, very tedious. You're pulling something across the room. You're schlepping something across the room. That's what that's what the word means. And for me, in a way, it's very appropriate because peace building is a schlep. It's a very difficult process. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of tedious, arduous work to come to the next steps in building that peace. So what do these words stand for then? As I say, this is a reminder to myself of what peace building really is all about. S, so we start with the S. S is about security, security sector reform, human security, disarmament and demobilization of ex-combatants, DDR, what we call DDR. All these have to do in a post-conflict situation on how we help bring about security to the people. How to bring about security. So all these activities that fall within that category contribute towards security. As I said, DDR and security sector reform especially. And then we have C. C for me stands for civil society. Any kind of activity one does in the post-conflict arena, has to have a focus on civil society. Civil society are the ones who are most affected by the conflict usually, and they're the ones who will make peace sustainable. They're the ones who will make the peace sustainable. So we have to invest in civil society, invest in programs and projects for civil society. So that's the C. So H. H stands for healing. I think there's no better word to say it than healing. When you have had 10, 20 years of a civil war, you cannot expect that people will naturally forgive each other and go back to life as normal. There has to be a healing process. That healing process normally takes the form of national reconciliation. We bring all the parties together. We have a national reconciliation conference. We have a truth and reconciliation commissions that go through the past of what happened and how do we, forgive and forget even in the worst circumstances. Psychosocial support for victims of abuse, of rape. Reparations, in some cases reparations are called for. So all this I would put into the category of healing. One cannot overlook that there is a need in many of these situations to invest in these activities that bring about national healing. L. L is for livelihoods. I'm not talking about employment generation the way you would do in a normal development context. But again, after decades of civil war where people, have lost almost all hope, to go into a peace situation where they face the same problems without any prospect of getting a job, of earning a livelihood, of supporting a family, of having normalcy for the kids to go back to school, in other words, having a livelihood, It's just not tenable. One has to focus on creating livelihoods, a better life for people after the war is over. So there again, as I said, we have to differentiate between a normal employment generation program under normal circumstances versus a livelihood program that basically targets the vulnerable, that targets the youth at risk. And let's be very honest here, when the youth do not see a future, they're very easily recruited back into insurgency movements. That's why you see so many prospect of child soldiers, of child insurgents, because they're easily recruited by people with bad intentions to create even more harm for society. So we must invest in this group of people, in these youth, in the form of livelihoods. E stands for empowerment of women and youth, especially of women, because women, as we know, they bear the brunt of conflict. They're the ones who suffer most because they've lost a family, they lost husbands and sons and daughters. They're usually abused, sexually or otherwise. But they're also the ultimate agents of change because they bring the cohesion of the family together, the society together. They're the ones that can make that change happen. They can be the agents of change. But to do that, we must empower them. We must have programs that train them, that teach them what organization means, what it means to even enter politics, what it means to in public speaking, etc. There's so many roles that women can play in this post-conflict context. So that's empowerment of women. And the last letter in my famous acronym, SHLEP, is P, which is public administration. Again, when we visualize these countries having gone through years and years of civil war, there's really hardly anything to talk about in terms of public administration. There's outside of capital cities especially, one almost doesn't see or feel the presence of government. So people feel very neglected by the center, by the capitals. They feel that the government really doesn't care about them. So that's why it's very important when the political will is there with the new governments to extend their state authority to these outer regions, to these remote areas, in providing basic services, in providing legal services, in providing security, that we support them to be able to do this. And all this, as I said, is in the area of public administration and the extension of state authority. So there you have it, SHLEP. For me, as I say, it's my way of remembering because sometimes I even tend to forget, mixing up development with peace building. And in a way is to demystify this whole concept of peace building. What is it really? It's actually very simple. It's really not rocket science. When you've had all this terrible things happening in a society, you have to look very practically and pragmatically what you must do to bring society back to normalcy. So with those words, I'd like to wish you a really good seminar where you'll be exchanging ideas, learning more and more, and coming up with even better and better programs for the PBF. Thank you very much.